Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be diving into a Naga comp built around groundbreaker scaling, featuring a very powerful tempo start and an extremely clean transition into a high scaling late game comp that can deal with a lot of technical units. We started the game playing out as Lich King, really great lobby for this because there's a lot of death rattles and synergies we're looking for, specifically Beasts, Naga, and Automatons are the main reason I was going for this. On turn 3, I found a really powerful Glow Gullet Warlord which gives huge tempo spike for turn 3, and that extra body is giving me the ability to aggressively level, and we end up going to Tavern Tier 4 by turn 5 while still staying above 30 health, which is a really solid sign that we're in the control of the game and we're able to just aggressively play. On turn 6, we start having our lesser trinket choices, and we had a lot of really strong options. The worst option, in my opinion, that we could have taken, or I guess the second choice option, would have been Bobblehead. Just because we were able to do this aggressive leveling strategy, it would have just really helped us potentially just level out, make sure we can guarantee that we're going to get some really good units. But what I ended up taking here was Explorer's Binoculars, and the reason for this is we aggressively leveled, but this would help us fill up our board. From binoculars, we were able to get a really lucky Tortillian blue shell and a bonker. This led us to level up with the blue shell, as well as by using our hero power on the bunker, we're able to get 3 blood gems, and this just was another way to transition, or I guess like stabilize on the mid game. On turn 8, we finally find our first Groundbreaker. This was from the Elise that we also picked up from the Binoculars. And we also were able to find a really early brand. This gave us a really clear direction that we wanted to play into the Naga Groundbreaker comp. For our greater trinket, we ended up taking Nahatar Postcard. This is a really perfect fit when you're playing a Naga Groundbreaker comp, specifically because you're going to be wanting to cycle your Nagas anyway, especially because we had the brand. We're going to just be playing a lot of the like small, cheap Nagas, and brand's just going to give us a little bit of extra value from those. And obviously, you want the Groundbreaker, you want the brand value, and this is just a way to get all of it all at the same point. We could have potentially have taken Innkeeper's Health or Hearth as the other option for a greater trinket. I would have done this only if I didn't have the Groundbreaker commit point already, which in general, the way I find Groundbreaker to commit to is you want a Groundbreaker and some type of spell generation. For us, our spell generation was going to be Bran and the Nagas that we already had on the board for us. Hearth, I generally find, is a better trinket if you're still kind of stuck and don't have the direction, but Nahatar Postcard ends up being a better way to increase the scaling that we already had. On turn 10, we end up going to Tavern Tier 6. The reason for this is because we have the postcard as our trinket, we end up wanting to have the better spellcrafts in the late game. Obviously, something like Slyssa's as a spellcraft is a lot better than some of the like Tavern Tier 1, Tavern Tier 2 spellcrafts. And the ability to discover a spell just becomes a lot of value. And the whole idea with this is with the brand, you're essentially trying to go infinite with cycling Nagas and using those to essentially buff your Groundbreaker going forward. You can kind of see on on turn 9, we end up having one of our first losses in the game, but even with this, you can tell that he's high rolling, and we're still looking relatively strong compared to the rest of the lobby. Obviously, at this point, the biggest things that we can try to do is generate more spells so that we're getting bigger buffs off of our Groundbreakers. And then the next thing that we're trying to do is find multiple Groundbreakers. We end up finding the second one on turn 10. And from here, we're starting to get more stats. Right now, we're getting about 20 stats every time that we play a Naga. Turn 11 ends up being probably our biggest power spike throughout the game. We end up finding a tripled Fire Scare Hoarder, which this triple ends up letting us find a triple Groundbreaker. There was also a Groundbreaker in the shop, and off of the triple Groundbreaker, we're able to find another Groundbreaker. So this ends up giving us 5 Groundbreakers and a huge scaling power spike. The reason why this ends up being such a power spike is that we went from before getting about 20 stats for every Naga that we were playing to us now getting about 60 every time that we end up cycling a Naga. From here, the biggest things still is we're trying to generate more spells every turn, and that's mostly going to be from reborning our party guests and the Fire Scale Hoarder, as well as continuing to just cycle the Nahadar that like we've been doing the entire game. On turn 12, we end up using spells to get like a full Naga shop, and you can see how we utilize the Reborn Weary Mage spellcraft as a way to generate more spells by being able to play those on our party guests and the and that gives us an extra spell each turn. Party guests are also giving pretty reasonable stats. We've been able to buff our spells throughout the game based off of the Naga spellcraft for doing that. So we're kind of reasonably able to get a lot of spells that way. Additionally, I end up selling the Fire Scare Hoarder. The main reason for that is I have more potential to be able to do stuff with the party guests. I can, because like mechs are in the game, I can potentially use Jiraxis, I can use the Weary Mages to give them Reborn, and because mechs are in the game, I have multiple ways to give them Divine Shields. And that's actually something that we end up doing the next turn on turn 13, is because we have the Bran, we're able to find a Jiraxis, and Jiraxis is able to give us a lot of utility on those 2 party guests that we have. Jiraxis gives the ability to find the permanent Divine Shield and the permanent Reborn. We're also really shortly after that able to triple our brand, and this again just plays into the whole idea of what we're trying to do, which is just generate a lot of spells and use those to buff our Groundbreakers going in. We end up just having kind of 2 really short turns here that are really just cycling and playing just as much stuff as we can. Again, here's where we do the Jiraxis stuff, but we end up going to just have a lot of cycling here, so not a lot of stuff. So I want to use this as a moment to just thank you if you've gotten to this point in the video. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever, after watching these. All the help is really appreciated. And we're going into the last couple fights here. So main thing is we have 2 opponents that we really don't know too much about. The Barov, we actually have not fought really at all this game. All I know is that he's been showing mechs, and if I remember, there's really not much else that we really know. The turn 14 here is relatively straightforward. If I was smarter, I probably would have taken a little bit of time to just do a scout for what the Rafan was playing here. Big thing here is taunting your brand. That's something you should do pretty much every time. Unless you're doing like some type of scaling brand, giving a taunt will just give you a lot more. Like it's able to take a scam unit hit for you. It's able to take off a Divine Shield. You'll just get a lot more value that way. So Rafan here was playing Quillboars. Honestly, not super strong. We had a relatively favored fight, and you can see how we ended up just generating a lot of spells in this fight just with our last unit. From here, main things I'm trying to figure out is, again, I haven't faced this Lord Barov the entire game, so I really don't know what he's playing other than I've seen that he's showing mechs. So main thing I'm kind of thinking of is I'm just going to want to taunt up my what is it, the like smallest units, which is the brand stuff. I'm going to start looking for some type of like scam cards with the with something like I guess like Leroy would probably work. And that's really all I have as potential options for ways that I can try to like beat out a player that you don't really know, at this point, I don't think it's good to like sell out of the party guests or anything like that. I'm just trying to figure out, what is this? And so if we look at the board here, a couple big things point out. One, he does not have stats at all, but what he does have is this really good scam core between the curator like amalgam and two of the Kangord's apprentices. And this just the biggest thing that I know is that I'm trying to find 9 damage AoE to take out those the Kangors before the amalgam dies. So the best way to do this, especially when you're going from like this spot of just having a lot of gold but needing to do like a 1-turn scam find, is I'm gonna try to find a blaster, try to find eyes, and then I need to find either a Titus or a Macaw. So just kind of a couple finds here. Don't really find anything yet. I do find blaster. So the next thing is trying to find eyes, and then either a Macaw or a Titus. The blaster on its own isn't necessarily terrible. Here's the eyes, and then from here it's just trying to see. And I do end up rolling a Macaw at the very last second, and you can see that this ends up giving us what we need to when we last time we went from like a 9% win to having an 85% win. So that's how we ended up winning the last round, coming back from behind. So thanks for watching. Bye.